Anthony, were you surprised by his choice of word?
I am quite surprised, actually, considering, as you said, he's a massive media tycoon that we all know.
Whose papers criticise others for doing what he did.
Absolutely. Listen, you know, people I know that have been criticised for things that have been taken out of context before, back in the day, so...
I mean, I know Eamon Holmes, I mean, I've spoken to him about it, he was devastated by the attack on him in the Sun. Devastated by it.
Yeah, no, listen, they need to look a bit more closer to home than start slaying about other people.
Is age an excuse?
Not at all. Not at
really?
all. No, I don't think so, because, you know, I can say... he can say, oh, mate, I'm old just for the sake of it. It's not an excuse, because you know, Prince Philip has said things back in the day, back in the past, and we've all gone, exactly, everyone, like, you know, he's 90, 91. It's no excuse, you know, you need to know, you need to move with the times, you need to know today's language. And
so should he apologise?
I think he should apologise, absolutely, because he's not just offending David Cameron, he's offending other families with disabled sons or daughters.
He puts the Sun in a very invidious position now that they can no longer,
run
you know, in a way, they're going to have to run this and say, we apologise that our boss said this, but we can still slag off other people, otherwise...
Yeah, no, good point. Now, there is a possibility, Lisa, I suppose. I mean, I know, again, from my family out in America, that retard is used fairly often by people out there. It's not quite as verboten as it is here. Is it different in Australia? Is it commonly used?
I don't hear it unless it is in a very mocking tone of gangster joke in-house, not a major media mogul. You know, it's sort of that case of words are his life. He works in the media.
Absolutely.
I, again, initially went, he's 80, generation gap, and then, again, no, he's, you know, this is his world. And if it was genuinely a mistake, and, you know, as you say, he's written about it in his papers in the past, why doesn't he get into his paper, make a statement saying, hey, look, this is my generation, this is where we've come from. Isn't it good that we're not there anymore?
Is the generation thing a valid excuse when... for at least 20 years, the word has been out of favour. 20 years is a long time. I mean, somebody who's 80 now would have been a very slightly 60.
I don't think it's an excuse. I think he should... I think there should definitely be something in his papers, you know, pointing out, I did this, this is what I did, and I have criticised people in the past for doing it. I mean, it's a big boy thing to do, to stand up.
Could we forgive him? Sorry, Lisa, to cut you, but could we forgive him as a country if he gave half of his millions to disabled kids?
Are we going to say? I think we'd forgive him if he gave 1% of his earnings to disabled kids.
But would we say, oh, do you know what? Never mind. He's given money back to charity.
Well, I would hate to think, though, that I'd hate to set the precedent that you have got 80-year-olds in the country absolutely terrified to speak out in public because they're scared of using the wrong word in what they would deem as...
But they've had 20 years to learn that word is not appropriate.
It is, but it changes all the time. I know, you know, there are people that I know that have used the word coloured because they think it's less offensive than black.
Yes.
It's a very, you know, you're entering into a very difficult territory. I think it's the nature of the man's job that is the offensive bit on this, and the hypocrisy. I don't, you know, I think we could look at other elderly people who haven't been educated and don't understand, as I said, the meaning of the word in today's modern terminology.
I hear what you're saying, but let's remember that somebody who's 80 today would have been 60 when this word went out of fashion. And unless they were affected by early onset Alzheimer's or some other degenerative mental disease, at 60 you're bright enough and switched on enough to know that a word is going out of fashion, because you don't hear 80-year-olds using the N-word. So if they can learn the N-word, then surely they can learn the R-word.
How often do they want to change that? How often? They don't want to touch computers. They, you know, I know my 60-year-old parents are like, don't touch
my mum's in her 70s and is happily emailing away, driving a little
my
car, you know.
over the computer.
70 is the new 40, according to my mum.
What is the word? What word should he have used?
What?
What word should he... I mean, you know, when I was growing up, we gave money to the Spastic Society.
His son Ivan? Why define somebody by their disability, you know? I mean, the poor boy's dead.
I can't believe I'm justifying Murdoch here, but, you know, he was trying to make the point that he was an incredibly kind family man who was incredibly kind to a son with special needs. He should have known and...
Do you not find it slightly strange that you make a comment about a father being kind to his children? Isn't it accepted that fathers generally like their children?
Clearly in the world that
Murdoch... At the very least,
but
and probably love them.
Again, that's the generation gap, is maybe people weren't so accepting.
Well, if this generation gap is so telling in his language, then maybe he shouldn't be running News Corporation. You know, I mean,
I'm happy with that.
Because it's having both ways.
But the moral vacuum that he, you know, this is a man whose company, you know, whose newspaper hacked into tragedies of people's lives. I think the moral compass of his life, in any way, is slightly off.
For which he has apologised.
This is probably what he wants.
Okay, okay. I'm going to take a break. We will continue with this after the break when we hear from you. Can you forgive Rupert Murdoch for describing David Cameron's son as a retard? 0207 173 5555 is the number you need. And we'll hear your calls after this break.
Which celeb described themselves as a retard on television? Ricky Gervais, Jennifer Aniston or Russell Brand? Find out in 3. So before the ads we asked which celeb described themselves as a retard on television. The answer is Jennifer Aniston.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to Thursday Show with Tracy Ann Overman, Anthony Costa and Lisa Gormley, who's going to have the rest of the headlines for you next, including calls for chemists to give the pill to girls as young as 13 without them seeing a doctor, and day 2 of oddball geezers building incredibly complex things in their garages. But first, can you forgive Rupert Murdoch for describing David Cameron's son Ivan as retarded during yesterday's appearance at the Leveson inquiry? 0207 173 5555 is the number you need. Readers of the Daily Mail were more than happy to excuse his terrible choice of language because of his age. He's 81. But if we assume the media baron is savvy enough not to use the N-word to describe black people, don't those with learning difficulties have a right to expect better from the man behind The Sun, The Times and Sky TV? After all, the R-word has been out of favour for more than 20 years. Now, before the break, Tracy Ann said Rupert is media savvy, so she was surprised at his choice of word, but it's the least of his problems at the moment. Anthony felt that age is no excuse. You need to be aware of today's interpretation of language. Lisa felt that words are Murdoch's life, but if it's a genuine mistake, he should say sorry. A lot of people are saying he said the word retarded as opposed to retard, so what you have there is an adjective as opposed to a noun. To me, that's the same as using the N-word or describing somebody as a Negro, which I know is also... a lot of black people don't like that term either, so I'm not sure where we stand about that, but maybe you can... illuminate us rather with your calls. Kirsty.
OK, we have Francis on line 1.
Good morning, Francis.
Morning.
What do we think, Francis?
Well, I was saying my mother died last year at 88.
Right.
And we could never get her to stop saying the C word for black people or the M word for Down syndromes. But we never, ever let her get away with it. We always told her that it was wrong. But the next time she talked about it, she forgot that we'd said it was wrong.
What was her mental state like when she was in her seven?
She was living alone at 89 in a big house.
OK. But you felt that the language was inappropriate even from someone like your mother at her advanced age?
Yes. We always used to say to her, Mum, you cannot say that. But then next time there was somebody on the television, she used to say, oh, what a lovely sea girl. You know,
right.
Lovely singer. And we always told her that we never let her get away with it.
But then, Francis, you have to... I mean, hearing your story, my kind of heart, in one sense, goes out to the elderly who have to battle with the constantly shifting sands of 21st century life. It's difficult.
I did understand that. But as I said, we never, ever... You know, we did say, oh, it's this mum, it's her age. But we always thought we should tell her it was wrong.
OK, OK.
It's very difficult. When I was at university, they banned the word ploughman's lunch. You had to call it plough person's lunch because it was considered sexist. And often I go in and because you forgot, and I'd order a ploughman's lunch, and you get told off by the Women's Society. And then the Women's Society decided to ban. You couldn't say the word girl. You had to say woman. And so I understand that culture of thinking, what's the word this week? So it must be very difficult at 81. It's the meaning behind the word, I think.
But then, you know, if you get on to intent, Kent, then you come back to Eamon Holmes. Eamon Holmes castigated in The Sun for describing somebody as a retard, and yet he had no intention to cause offence. So if the paper thinks it's, you know, Rupert Murdoch's own newspaper, his biggest-selling newspaper in Britain, one of his biggest-selling in the world, if the editorial view is that this word is offensive, then Rupert Murdoch has caused offence. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and he should apologise. Francis, bless you. Let's have another.
OK, we have Kevin on line 2.
Morning, Kevin.
Oh, good morning. Well, I think Mr. Murdoch, he's 81, but he's a unique 81. He has, as you've widely pointed out, the mogul boss. Now, he's not like the 88-year-old lady that the good lady before spoke about, of her mother. That's an 88-year-old lady living alone. This is an 81-year-old man living amongst the world of words. Therefore, even though I'm sure he didn't mean it offensively, because after seeing this...
without any doubt,
he didn't, but it still was a wrong thing. The only other thing is, people keep going on about the Murdoch Empire, and now it's easy, it's like bashing time, because they've been caught out on various things. 2 years ago, politicians, and may I say celebrities, were all scared of the media empire, and you wouldn't be sitting on television this morning giving him a bad time if he was still on that powerful ledge he was up there 2 years ago.
Well, to be fair, Kevin, 2 years ago he didn't own the show and I would have had a go, and now he does and I still have a go, so I think you're talking nonsense on that score, but there we go.
Unique, actually. You know, you really have always stuck out, but if you judge a newspaper by a nation by its newspapers, you walk into any newspaper shop tomorrow morning, the biggest pile of papers for sale is The Sun. If you don't like Murdoch, don't buy his paper.
You see, I take a slightly different view. I'm hoping that something positive can come out of this, which is that people that use language with no intention to cause offence will now be forgiven by the editor of The Sun, Dominic Mohan, instead of nailed to the cross and then subsequently abused by people on Twitter, because the damage and harm that does to these people, and I know from their testimony, is unfair.
Well, they're doing themselves a disservice, aren't they? So next time when someone does say something like this and they bring out a story, everyone's going to go, well... You can't talk.
Hopefully. Kevin, just before I let you go, do you think Rupert should apologise? And if he did, would that make things good with you?
I think he should make a profound apology. I don't think there should be any letting up on that, because what he said was wrong. Even if I really believe from seeing that interview, he didn't mean it, but it's still a wrong word, and if he doesn't apologise, then his paper is definitely cooked.
OK, nicely put. Thank you.
People in the public eye need to take responsibility to set to do the trickle-down effect.
I guess so, but whether they should be crucified when there was no intention...
But he wasn't crucified, because interestingly, but no other... I mean, it's not the front page of The Guardian, you would imagine...
It's mentioned in the text. They all mention in the text, but as I say, when other people do it, TV presenters do it in exactly the same circumstances, no offence, they get nailed to the cross. Not fair. Let's have another.
We have Louise on line 3.
Louise, good morning.
Good morning.
Were you upset or distressed by what Rupert said?
Personally, I think it's unfortunate. I actually have 3 children with autism, so I think it sets things back for families like me. We've got enough to deal with without the prospect of other people making comments like that. But my perspective of it is that current affairs is how he makes his money and has always made his money. Yes. So I really believe that he should be familiar with what is deemed offensive or not the correct sort of words to use. He's got advisors around him. He's got a whole team of people. He's used to the litigation culture when you say things that are, defamatory. So I just feel that even though he's 81, he is really a different case, because it's how he makes his money, and I'm sure he is aware of many more things than your typical 81-year-old person.
Louise, I'm going to jump in because we've got time, just a few more seconds for one more.
OK, we'll take Carol on line 4.
Carol, good morning.
Good morning.
Your thoughts, please, Carol.
Well, I have to agree with the 3 speakers that have previously gone. I do think age can make a difference. The young man with you,
Anthony,
that can Greek dance, I think he will find out when he gets old that age does make a huge difference.
Right.
But Rupert Murdoch is different. He makes his business, his whole life is involved with the media, with people that are, really know what's going on. He has to be up to date on loads of stuff. He's not like... I'm not 81 yet, I'm only 69. He's not like me. My life's much quieter.
I don't think he's like many of us, to be honest, Carol. Although he still has to go to the toilet, I should imagine. Maybe not, I don't know. I've got to jump, we've got to take a break. Very interesting calls. Thank you very much for your opinions. It'll be interesting to see whether the old man does give us an apology. We shall see. After the break, it's Lisa with the remaining headlines for you, including the Catholic schools pressing pupils to sign petitions against gay marriage, and the woman fired 8 months after donating a kidney to her boss. All the painful details after these.
According to today's Metro, what percentage of kids think online life is more important than life in the real world? 19, 39 or 59%? Find out in 3. So, according to today's Metro, what percentage of kids think online life is more important than life in the real world? The answer is 59%.
Thank you kindly. Welcome back to Thursday Show with Tracy Ann Overman, Anthony Costa, the guy from Blue, and our very special guest, home and away star Lisa Gormley. So to come this morning, we're asking if some women are simply too smart to have kids, as Antiques Uncover star Dr. Lucy Worsley claims. Bet that makes a lot of friends with you mums out there. 0207 173 5555 is the number. Indeed, how does that make you breeders feel, I wonder? First, the headlines from you. What have you got for us?
OK, first of all, I'm going to start with the Daily Mail. Should the pill be given to girls of 13 without a prescription? 13 is a very, very young age, and
the
they're thinking
NHS
of giving
says yes, doesn't it? They're in favour of this.
Without a thorough consultation. Now, I'd just like to point out the thorough consultation. I don't think I've ever had a thorough consultation. It's literally a blood test. Oh, not a blood test, a blood pressure test. Yeah. And that's sort of it. But again, 13 is such a young age. It scares me. But if it's happening, shouldn't they be protected?
It's such a young age.
I must admit, I don't...
It's there, it's happening.
I know, but it's really bad.
I don't have a problem with doctors giving the pill to 13-year-olds or even nurses in schools, but the idea that you can just rock up to a chemist at 13...
No, I think it should be older for over the... I'm happy for
We have a
over
big
the...
teenage pregnancy problem in Europe. I think whatever it takes, because clearly our sex education isn't working, and if this is a way of stopping... you know, getting young...
It needs to start there.
Where's
the education?
Shoelaces at 13.
Well, Michael Gove opposes sex and relationships education in primary school. He's our education supremo, which of course means that those who get no education by the time they reach secondary school, girls as young as 13 effectively, are at a severe disadvantage. But
we are genetically designed to start doing this 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, but not necessarily mentally designed.
No, but why they should know what their bodies are about to start.
We're sexualising our children from the earliest age they watch pop videos. You know, these little girls are so sexualised. By the time they get to 13, they feel like women. They've had years of pop songs pumping this idea that you've got to be sexy. Yeah.
They don't know the sexy though. That's not like what your body is.
But they don't.
Designed to
but
do.
the two,
so sad.
The two. I don't know. There's, and I'm a great liberal, and I have no problem actually with girls of 13 being given the pill, because my first girlfriend when I was 14 was on the pill not long ago. I think around the age of 14. But it was had they invented again. Thank you very much. Oh, shock horror. I think our parents took the view they'd rather have her daughter on the pill than knocked up, which of course is
surely if they're going at 13, if they're going in for the pill, if they're under 16, they should be getting complete counselling.
Yes.
And they should be getting advice alongside it.
Absolutely. OK, we've got to press on. What else have we got for us, Lisa?
OK, I also have the Mail. Why worried parents are now sending more boys to... where are we going?
Schools,
private school. Yes, we call it different. It was boarding school.
Boarding schools. Well,
private.
Some of them are here.
Why? That's what I want to know.
10,000
more boys than girls.
It's fact because I mean,
are they harder work in the?
There's so many variables that girls seem to do better generally. Boys need special attention. You get more special attention at private school. Some people might take the view that boys are going to have the careers, girls are going to have the babies, so invest in your sons and they'll look after you in their dotage. And I guess there's also the economics of it, that in a difficult financial climate, parents with 2 or more kids have to make a choice, and maybe we still favour boys, as we have done for thousands of years.
Earlier, I've got friends who can afford to send one of their children to private school, and they choose the boy.
Why? What was their reasoning?
Maybe
It's unbelievable. I think it's an archaic throwback that ultimately the woman will get married and be potentially looked after. I mean, I don't know. To me, it amazes me.
Case of the story that's coming up, are they just going to fight, no matter where they're getting educated, to do better and succeed more than the men?
I don't know.
And it's an interesting. I mean, often when the girl is clearly much more intelligent and could have an amazing, but then according, well,
girls can cope on their own. Us boys need help.
We need help.
women get
Basically, you know, we're used to. We're used to fighting.
Next, what else we got there, Lisa?
Okay, so we have The Sun. Oh, this is really disturbing. Hamster damned. A young man has killed. Young man, 22, has killed his girlfriend's hamster for being dumped. So he threw it against a wall, picked it up, said, "Oh, it's not dead," stamped on it, and then fed it to his dog. Can we see a picture of this guy? He looks like a bulldog. I think he should be put down. I'm sorry.
Disgusting. Do you know, for all of that, got a suspended sentence.
Did he?
Oh, but there's something wrong with him, clearly.
Yeah, the story last night about the guys working in a pig factory that were abusing the pigs. One stopping cigarettes out on the pig's nose, another one beating one pig more than 30 times with a club. And they did. I mean, they got sentences, but I mean, very short.
But what's going to stop him treating a human being that way eventually one day?
You said it. OK, any more?
I've got one. I've got a couple more. Parents, a study saying in the metro, for children, the online life matters more to children than the real world. Now, this is fascinating because it's very much my world, and it's very, very sad that children are finding themselves so much more confident, and they can be the people they want to be online, which means they are not getting the drama training.
That's what
to be that person in real life.
Drama training is the best training you can do, because if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a barrister, a TV presenter, talk on TV, you've got to be a people's person. Now these kids are sitting at home behind a computer.
If the future is all going to be, all your jobs and everything you do is going to be about working online, then the more sophisticated and adept you are at working online, the better you're going to do in life. I mean, you know, when I started working in newspapers, the internet didn't exist, mobile phones didn't exist. When you left the office, nobody could contact you. It was fantastic. Fantastic. It was the best time. But, you know, I don't know, I mean, I'm horrified by this story, but I do think that maybe this is the training for the future.
That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. Some of the most successful people and the people I look up to most in my life are the people that have the ability to look you in the eye and be themselves.
But Richard Branson can't look people in the eye. He's very successful. He ducks his eyes about. But you know, they weren't brought up by and large as internet generation. I think this is a survey of kids born in the late 90s. So
is this cities though, or is it countries? Because I know kids in the country where I'm from, down in Tasmania, that this would not be the case. They still know how to play.
Exactly. You know, playing in the street, playing football in the park with your friends.
Playing in the street.
I know.
Are you insane? There's millions of paedophiles waiting to snatch your children.
I mean, like suburban areas and stuff. I think that, you know,
suburban paedophiles, they're there too.
No, but you know what I mean. It just upsets me that, you know. It just upsets me.
I think parents should get their kids to put down the video games and go outside and play with them.
But we don't allow them to go. Well, I think you're right, Matthew. It's too scary.
Yeah, it's too scary. If the paedophiles don't get them, the muggers will.
The kids aren't scared of anything until the parents.
Now, one last one from you, please, Lisa.
Okay, sorry, get excited and keep talking. Okay, this is The Times. Assistant is sacked 8 months after donating a kidney to save her boss's life. Now, there's two ladies. I would like to know, I haven't fully read this, it's obviously not my paper, but did she stop doing her job? Did she suddenly walk into work and go, well, I gave you a kidney, I don't really have to do any work anymore? Is that why?
There's a legal wrangle going on as to the whys and wherefores. It's just...
It's appalling.
I would imagine if I was a boss and somebody gave me the kidney, even if the business went down the Swanee, which it probably would with me at the helm, the last person to go
would be the person who
gave me the kidney. We would go together.
She missed a trick there. As she had gone in for the operation, she should have had a form signed saying, I donate my kidney for a job for life I work with.
You just think if I give my kidney, you're going to give me...
Even if you get a cup of coffee these days and a croissant at lunchtime, you're expecting some sort of bonus.
Nicely done, Lisa. Thank you very much for that. Anthony, what have you got?
OK, the Daily Mirror, page 7. I hope it's a true story. Maddie McCann at 9. They've put computer footage, what she would look like just before her 9th birthday. Obviously, she got kidnapped, so to speak, just before her third birthday 6 years ago. And now it's opened up 195 potential new leads, they're saying. So I hope it's true and
that would be so
they can
hard
find
as
her.
a parent to see that.
I do feel for all the other parents whose children have gone missing who don't get
Maddie
all
is
the
poster,
attention.
I know, but I think she's become the poster girl for all of them. And I think as long as she keeps high, I think the McCanns have been very open in saying it's not just about Maddie, it's for all missing children.
And this will open it up to other parents going in and saying, can you please do that for me?
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else?
OK, page 19 of the Daily Mail. The headline is, "You can be forced to retire age 65." Landmark ruling says law firm was right to tell solicitor he must quit his job because of his age.
Even though we were told that the
Yesterday.
the default retirement age went 2 years ago?
2 years ago. And it's saying older workers can still be forced out of their jobs at 65.
As long as it's done fairly. And how does fairly work? I.e., if you don't want to retire and someone says you've got to retire, how is that fair? That sounds unfair to me.
I know, I just feel sorry for him. He's a solicitor, Leslie Selden, and just got told to leave.
It just throws me that employers just want it every which way.
Did he donate a kidney?
Well,
I mean, it would be a good way to balance out the problem, wouldn't it? If someone is capable of staying, wants to stay, why not keep them on?
Because it means that perhaps a younger person can't get a job.
Doesn't get a job, but then there will always be, there will be people who want to retire. I'm out of here.
Anything else?
Very well. OK, page 18 of the Daily Mirror. The headline is £17 billion of diabetes bills threatens the NHS. Lovely little picture there.
Right. What is the sudden surge in diabetes?
It's saying basically the diabetes threatens to bankrupt the NHS as the number of sufferers soars, a report has found. Now, currently the disease and its complications cost £9.8 billion, a 10% of total NHS spending.
Wow.
Yeah. It's basically, obviously, the diet that people lead and...
Is it poor diet, OK, the obesity, lack of exercise?
Starting education. Why we should be...
You've got a growing obesity problem down under as well, though, haven't you?
Absolutely, everywhere around the world. But people do not know what is good for them and what is bad for them. There's so much media advertising for bad food that is going, you must eat this, it's great for you. It's only 96% fat, as opposed to none.
Not many people think of the sugars as well.
Yeah, and they don't understand the damage sugar does to the body. It's something we're not designed, especially processed sugar, processed
It's really quite shocking. I was making my drought special in the driving rain yesterday, as expected. And there were loads and loads of, frankly, horrible French children there, I have to say. They made British children look like little angels, I have to say. And, you know, I mean, certainly in my middle ages, I think of French kids always used to be very stylish with all those little matching backpacks. This lot were a bunch of scumbags, actually. Massive, horrible, mean-spirited. And I thought, times have changed.
Blame America.
Times have changed. Blame America.